Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Trebas Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Several city programs that were on the chopping block are now getting funded. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. After weeks of feedback from the community, Mayor Todd Gloria released a revised budget. KPBS reporter Katie Anastas has a look at the changes.
Last month, Gloria proposed a city budget that would have cut funding to several programs meant to address racial and economic disparities in San Diego. He says his updated proposal, which had not yet been published by Tuesday afternoon, would restore funding to some of those programs, including one that helps low-income renters facing eviction, teen centers in certain parts of the city, and others.
It funds our SD Access for All initiative, Wi-Fi access, library hotspot checkouts, and digital literacy programming. For libraries, it funds youth service librarian positions, after-school programs, and our library materials donation match program.
Gloria says funding to add those programs back into the budget comes from a few sources. He says the city is saving money by slowing down hiring, pausing contributions to the city's savings, and putting unspent money back into the general fund. He says the city will also get $7 million in homelessness prevention funding from the state earlier than expected. The revised budget comes after weeks of city council budget meetings where members of the public shared concerns about proposed cuts. Councilmember Joe LaCava says the feedback process is working.
Thank you to the hundreds of individuals who made their voices heard loud and clear at the City Council Budget Review Committee meetings these past 2 weeks.
Gloria says the revised budget does not restore funding for the city's Office of Immigrant Affairs or the Cannabis Social Equity Program. His staff will present the revised budget to the City Council Budget Review Committee on Thursday. Katie Anastas, KPBS News.
The San Diego City Council today approved a new development plan for 500 acres of Mission Bay Park. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says the goal is to restore more native habitat.
Kumeyaay Native Americans have lived here since time immemorial, and the bay looked totally different not very long ago.
I'm walking along the shores of Anza Cove in the northeast corner of Mission Bay Park with Andrew Meyer. He's the conservation director for the San Diego Audubon Society, one of 89 organizations asking the city to restore more tidal wetlands in the area. Starting in the 1940s, humans drastically altered the landscape here to create more sandy beaches and parkland, but the environmental consequences were devastating. Endangered birds lost habitat, and the water in Mission Bay is teeming with bacteria and pollutants.
So it's not a safe place to be swimming. It's not a safe place to be recreating until we start investing in water quality benefits from tidal wetland habitats. The water flushes through a tidal wetland and it improves as it goes into the bay.
Wetlands are also a key component of the city's climate action plan. That's because they suck carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and return it to the earth. They're also more resilient to sea level rise. At the city council meeting Tuesday, some public commenters said the city should prioritize parking for recreational vehicles and preserving the Mission Bay Golf Course at its current size of 46 acres.
This should be a business decision that should create more active recreation acres for an ever-increasing population of San Diego, increase city revenues, improve tourism, enhance the overall Mission Bay master plan for active recreation. By the way, last time I checked, marshland is not active recreation.
This is the land use plan for Anza Cove presented to the City Council. It calls for more than 140 acres of new wetlands, shown in greenish-brown. The plan still faces a vote at the California Coastal Commission, and the city will need tens of millions of dollars for implementation, which will likely take several decades. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
At UC San Diego tonight, the son of one of the founders of Hamas will speak on campus. He is a guest and not a supporter of the Palestinian military organization since defecting to Israel. KPBS education reporter MG Perez has the story of the continuing controversy there.
The writing is on the wall this week, here along Library Walk on the campus of UC San Diego.
The Western Wall, it's a place where Jews come to go pray and to experience this spirituality.
Shawnee Mena is a UCSD junior and co-president of the student organization Tritons for Israel. This representation of the sacred wall serves as a talking point during the university's week-long annual Peace in Israel celebration. This year, there is an even deeper meaning as the Middle East war continues. There's also an opportunity for education.
A lot of students on this campus see the issue in Israel as black and white. They see it ultimately as a soccer game. They think that they can choose one side or another, but at the end of the day, there are a lot of complexities to the conflict.
The latest complexity involves Mossab Hassan Youssef, the son of one of Hamas's founders. At the invitation of the Tritons for Israel, Youssef will speak tonight here at the UC San Diego Price Center. He broke from his father and Hamas in 1997, defecting to Israel and becoming an adamant opponent of the Palestinian military organization.
Everyone you meet has someone that was killed by Hamas on October 7th or by a missile.
Jonathan Ohuri is an Israeli Christian from Haifa, also invited to campus to support students and share his experience living in the war zone. He also supports the man known as the Hamas son.
He's speaking about his own experience growing up in reality that at the end of the day created that terror organization that all it wanted to do is to eliminate Israel and harm Israeli civilians.
The Price Center is a hub of activity here on campus. Students come here to gather, eat, relax, play, and protest. Like the Gaza Solidarity Encampment, this building has been a focus for demonstrations. Pro-Palestinian student protesters blocked the entrances to the building May 6th after university police tore down the encampment and arrested more than 60 students and community supporters. Many of them will be back this evening protesting the appearance of Mossab Hassan Youssef. They have used social media to spread their message and objections. CARE San Diego, the Council on American Islamic Relations, will also lead that protest tonight. As the Peace in Israel week continues, Shawnee Mena will keep the conversation going.
There's this idea that you can't engage in dialogue or learn something new from a different perspective that you had not been exposed to before. So that's why we're here. We're here to represent the Jewish and Israeli people and their story.
University officials say Youssef's appearance is a student-run event, and campus police will be on site to monitor it. MG Perez, KPBS News.
Secretary of State Tony Blinken is in Ukraine to reassure the leaders and the people of that country that U.S. support remains strong. It's his first visit since Congress passed a military aid package after a 6-month delay. Laura Aguirre explains why it comes at a crucial time on the battlefield.
The United States has been by your side from day one. You are not alone.
A vow renewed from the U.S. to Ukraine as Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with that country's President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv Tuesday.
We know this is a challenging time, but we also know that in the near term, the assistance is now on the way.
Assistance that was stalled for over 6 months by fierce bipartisan debate on Capitol Hill. But last Friday, the U.S. announced a $400 million aid package to Ukraine. It includes desperately requested weapons like Patriot and Stinger missile systems and Bradley fighting vehicles.
The decision on the package was crucial for us.
That's going to make a real difference against the ongoing Russian aggression on the battlefield.
Blinken's visit comes at a critical time, with Russian troops claiming they pushed farther into northeastern Ukraine in recent days, marking some of Moscow's most significant gains in that region since Kyiv's forces recaptured Kharkiv, the country's second largest city in 2022.
The worry is that Russia could once again be within artillery range of Kharkiv, in which case they're literally going to dismantle it piece by piece.
U.S. support to help Ukraine hold Kharkiv is one goal of many in the weeks and months ahead.
We have a plan for getting to the day when Ukraine can stand strongly on its own feet, militarily, economically, democratically.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
In meat circles, pink slime is known as pieces of butchered cow trimmed of fat, minced, steamed with ammonia, and used as beef filler. In media circles, pink slime is a nickname for a growing number of partisan websites posing as local news. And KPBS's Amita Sharma says 2 in San Diego are run by a conservative network operating hundreds across the country. And she joins me now. Amita, welcome.
Thank you, Maya.
So you say there are 2 pink slime websites here in San Diego County. Who are they and what kinds of stories are on their sites?
Well, one is San Diego City Wire and the other is its sister outlet, East San Diego News. The sites are laid out similar to conventional newspapers with sections on local government, politics, business, sports, schools, and health. But there are also striking differences. One of them is that there are no human bylines. The bylines used are on their website and they're based on their names: San Diego City Wire, East San Diego News, or San Diego City Wire News Service.
So no human bylines, Amita. How do they get their stories then?
Well, I spoke to Mackenzie Sadeghi of NewsGuard, which is a New York company that gathers data on news outlets. She said content on pink slime websites is primarily generated by AI, algorithms, and press releases. She also said the content tends to be very partisan. Here's more of what she had to say.
Essentially, what these sites do is that they use a sort of software that analyzes large sets of data. So, for example, campaign finance records or unemployment data in a specific county, school test scores, for instance, and they take that data, that large set of data, and turn it into a report, making it specific and tailored to that specific county.
So as another example, last month, San Diego City Wire ran stories about the number of local FDA inspections, political committee contributions, and how many teachers pledged to teach critical race theory. Another headline this week on San Diego City Wire's website read, California Republican leaders take action against illegal protests on college campuses, referring to some of the pro-Palestinian demonstrations at universities.
So can you tell us who owns the local websites?
Well, San Diego City Wire and East San Diego News are part of a network of partisan websites owned by 4 interconnected companies: Metric Media LLC, Franklin Archer, the Madison County Record, and Locality Labs LLC, according to NewsGuard. Now, the Tao Center for Digital Journalism at Columbia Journalism School reports that the companies are overseen by a conservative Chicago businessman and former journalist, Brian Timpany. We reached out to him by email. He did not respond. We also reached out to the local websites and couldn't connect with anyone. And I should add, Maya, that NewsGuard, which rates news outlets, gives Metric Media a 32 out of 100 for violating basic journalistic standards of information gathering, distinguishing between news and opinion, and transparency on who's in charge, who writes stories, and ownership.
Now, what does the ongoing decline of local newspapers have to do with the emergence of these hyper-partisan websites?
Everything. First, a sobering stat. There are just 1,200 daily newspapers left in the United States. There are almost an equal number of these pink slime websites in the country. Longtime news analyst Ken Doctor says the vacuum is only getting bigger.
I fear we're entering a kind of Blade Runner era of the news business, given really what artificial intelligence can do in the wrong hands. And that is part of what is going to make this pink slime problem far worse very quickly.
And you know, Maya, Tim Franklin, a dean at the Medill School of Journalism at Northwestern University, says he is also afraid, given that we are in an election year.
I fear we're headed toward a dumpster fire. We have a hyper-partisan environment that we're all living in. We have hotly contested elections coming up this fall, and we have growing news deserts. And frankly, we need reliable, accurate local news and information to make informed decisions as voters. And I fear that pink slime is only going to muddy the situation.
So Franklin says the antidote to pink slime is a national media literacy campaign to help people distinguish between news and information that is designed to mislead.
Yes, that's information that everyone can benefit from. I've been speaking with KPBS investigative reporter Amitha Sharma. Amitha, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm Amna Nawaz. Tonight on the NewsHour, the prosecution's star witness, Michael Cohen, is grilled by the defense in former President Trump's hush money trial. It's coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
With recent hospital maternity ward closures in the county, the role of birth centers has become increasingly vital. KPBS health reporter Heidi DeMarco tells us about one San Diego center that's receiving a funding boost to keep its doors open and continue providing maternal care.
Nikki Helms says operating San Diego County's only Black-owned birth center is a lot of responsibility, especially now.
Just a little fuzzy. Yeah, that's all. We've lost a birth center. We've lost 2 maternity wards. So my doing this work has become that much more important as maternity care starts to kind of disappear from the hospital system. So, I need to be here.
Since 2021, at least 4 San Diego hospitals and 1 birth center have either closed their maternity wards or announced plans to do so.
A lot of folks are in what's considered a maternity care desert. There's no place you can go that's convenient to you and get that type of care during your pregnancy.
Others and their babies came from across the county. Valerie Felix gave birth to her son, Oscar, at the birth center.
I just know that my biggest fear was the mortality rate for Black women, and I wanted someone who understood.
Felix says her mother almost died giving birth to her. Black women are nearly 3 times as likely to die of pregnancy-related causes than white women. She says having a Black midwife calmed her worries.
Just made the process a lot more relaxing. Like, we were able to connect on a different level, I feel, than if it was with someone who I was just another number.
How to go? There are studies that show that women of color have better outcomes when they have culturally similar care providers. I am directly affecting those disparities in a positive way, and I couldn't be prouder.
Helm says she's thought about closing her doors a few times due to financial struggles. But with a new Equity Impact Grant from a partnership between the county's Office of Equity and Racial Justice and the nonprofit institute at the University of San Diego, she's getting ready to expand her maternal care services. Helms is among 10 recipients selected to receive coaching and a $100,000 grant.
We're trying to, reverse the disparities that exist for women of color in hospitals. And so I think one of the first things that I want to do is to be able to support our group prenatal program.
Mothers with similar due dates will go through the education process together. The possibilities of the grant stir up a mix of emotions for Helms.
It's exciting, it's daunting, it's terrifying, it's all of the emotions, but I have no doubt that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Heidi DeMarco, KPBS News.
It's not always comfortable talking about mental health with your kids, but experts say those conversations are critical for a child's healthy development and well-being. And as Mandy Gaither reports, the recommended age to start these talks may surprise you.
You know how to make dinner for your kids and lend a hand with homework, but what about how to help them with mental health?
We want kids to be able to know their emotions because every emotion is okay.
right? But not every reaction is.
Pediatric psychologist Whitney Ragland-Bignall with the Kids Mental Health Foundation says many parents are divided on when to start mental health conversations, but she says the earlier the better for building key mental health skills.
I have a 16-month-old. He doesn't like sometimes when I have to tell him no, right? And so I'm sharing with him, like, I know that you're really upset that mom is not allowing you to touch this very dangerous thing, but mommy can't allow you to do it. And so it's helping him see that, yes, I know that he's upset about it. It's giving him a word for it so that eventually when he starts talking more to me, hopefully he can start telling me that he feels upset and he's learning some of those signals.
Ragland-Bignall says parents should be open when talking about mental health and listen to what children say. Avoid distractions. Don't be judgmental. Watch body language and facial expressions. And don't ask too many questions, because the goal is for them to want to talk openly with you.
Connection and belonging is so vital. Just as we need to eat and drink, we need to be connected with one another.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Wildfire season is underway in Canada. The drifting smoke has diminished air quality in some places near the U.S. northern border. And Karen Kafa looks at what might be ahead during the summer months and how to stay healthy.
Another blazing start to wildfire season in Canada, with fires raging at both ends of the country.
The fuel or the vegetation is just so dry that, it's very susceptible to igniting and to spreading.
The drifting smoke has affected air quality in parts of the U.S. like Iowa, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
1 or 2 days may not be the end of the world for most people in good health, but you still want to begin to exercise great caution.
Dr. Panagis Galiatsatos of the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine is also a media volunteer spokesperson for the American Lung Association. He says older adults and those with conditions like asthma should make sure they're protected when air quality is poor, and especially children should limit time outside.
Those years are so pivotal to how their healthy lungs will develop as adults.
Daniel Westervelt, an air pollution scientist at Columbia University, says summer heat can keep fires burning on the ground and give smoke a lift to the skies.
In addition to there being the fuel, the wood, burning, the vegetation burning, but you need strong surface heating basically from the sun to initiate those uplifting motions.
And even when summer skies look clear, small pollutant particles can impact the air quality index and daily life.
The air quality should impact how you plan to go outside, how you plan to behave when you're outdoors, how long will you allow yourself to be outdoors. Poor air quality has a lot of health consequences for every single person.
In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
Wine lovers have a little more to celebrate as San Diego Wine Week kicks off. According to new data, our local wineries have been enjoying a steady increase in wine sales, but the report from the San Diego County Vintners Association shows 166 San Diego County wineries generated more than $54 million in sales, and that is an 11% increase from the prior year. One local winery owner says business has been better each year after the pandemic.
We're more of an experience-based industry here in San Diego. We don't have, our wineries don't have a lot of widespread distribution. We draw more on the local crowd because San Diego just isn't known to vacationers as a wine place. There's so many other things to do.
And he also says another contributing factor is San Diego's local and loyal base of customers, but that hasn't been the case everywhere. According to Silicon Valley Bank's new report, wine sales dropped last year across the country.
Our weather patterns staying somewhat consistent as we head through the upcoming days. A few changes, though, one of them not being the May gray pattern. That stays for the coastal areas as we keep the clouds in the morning, giving way to afternoon sunshine. But if you look into the northern mountains, there will be some spotty sprinkles coming through on Wednesday. So passing shower in some locations. It's not a lot of moisture, and it's mostly confined to the mountains. Meanwhile, as we talk about the interior, we will be warming up towards the late week. It really starts Thursday and continues beyond that then. So for tonight, Keeping the clouds developing at Oceanside, 60 degrees for that low as we head towards San Diego, 60 degrees too. And Ramona coming in at 53. Head towards Mount Laguna, 50 for the low there. As we transition then into tomorrow, we will find the sunshine starting to break out, especially in the afternoon for most locations. So Chula Vista, 67 for that high. Same thing for the city. And as you work your way a little bit farther to the northwest, Borrego Springs back into the mid-90s. Those numbers, though, will be taking off after we get a bit of cloud cover and moisture hanging around as we head through tomorrow. So we are watching some of that activity through the interior west develop later on and continuing to fall as we go throughout the day tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. So some of those showers really popping up, and then all of this activity does swing off towards the east. So we will be looking at just our coastal clouds continuing through time. For Thursday, expect some of those clouds still to start off with in the coastline there and then get brighter through the afternoon. This pattern, like I said, doesn't really break up as we head in towards the weekend. And for our inland locations, more of the same there too. Starting off with those morning clouds, developing to more afternoon sunshine. Temperatures, though, will be on the rise back to the mid-70s for the start of the weekend. Notice as you get into the mountain locations that stray shower is possible for tomorrow. So that's where a chance of rain. And then beyond that, even our desert locations, numbers going up into Friday, back towards the triple digits. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constancer.
And here's a look at what we're working on for tomorrow in the KPBS newsroom on NPR's Morning Edition. NPR Music's amateur songwriter competition Tiny Desk Contest is revealing another winner. And KPBS Midday Edition is helping you get ready to take part in Bike to Work Day this Thursday. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Good night.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating, and air restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.